Morning, all. All right, so we got 5 games on Monday in the National Hockey League. No, at the time I'm recording this, Jacob Chychrun has not been traded yet. Apparently, there was a snag with that trade. So there's always the money in, money out problem, and apparently that's part of it, as well as what Arizona would want for Chychrun, which is expensive. And as I explained yesterday, totally understand it being an expensive ask. All right, so there's one game starting at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern. Then we've got two more starting a half an hour later. And then we have two late games. So pretty spread out tonight, starting at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. The Calgary Flames in against the Ottawa Senators. This is the first of two meetings. They'll meet in Calgary on March the 12th. I'm wearing Calgary. I like, I like this jersey. I kind of like the addition of the black flames on there. But I also like their chances against Ottawa tonight. They're 25, 18, and 10 overall. They're scoring 3.17 goals per game. They're allowing 2.98 goals per game. They're tied with Minnesota for that final playoff spot, but they've played one more game. So they're still underneath the playoff line currently, trying to jump ahead of it. So you're a Florida fan tonight if you're a Flames fan as well. Ottawa 24-24 and 3 is their overall record. They're scoring an even 3 goals per game. They're allowing 3.23 goals per game. They are 10 points back of Pittsburgh for that final playoff spot. And I've said before, once you get into the double digits, it's probably over. So we'll see what happens with Ottawa tonight. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific start between the Arizona Coyotes and the Nashville Predators. Sorry, just my rabbit trying to get my attention. So these teams met on November 21st. It was a shootout victory for Nashville that night, 4-3. The third and fourth meetings will be February 26th as well as March the 9th. Arizona's 17, 28, and 8 overall, 2.64 goals scored per game. They're allowing 3.53. They're 18 points back of Minnesota. So for the Arizona Coyotes, the playoffs are a long and distant dream forgotten. But this really is all about management trying to get the best draft position possible. Nashville, 25, 19, and 6 overall. They've still allowed more goals this year than they've scored. They're scoring at a rate of 2.76 goals per game. They're allowing 2.92, which is one of the lower numbers on the board for goals against. But they're 4 points back of Minnesota for that final playoff spot. The good news, they have 2 games in hand. Again, if you're a Nashville fan, you're a Florida fan tonight as well. Speaking of Florida, playing in Minnesota tonight. This one starts at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific as well. Florida won this matchup at home on January 21st by a score of 5-3. The road trip that Minnesota would love to forget. They can go a long way to helping to rid themselves of the demons from that road trip with a victory over Florida tonight. Florida's 26, 23, and 6 overall. They've scored 3.47 goals per game. They're scoring well, but they're not defending well. 3.44 goals against per game. If Florida gets into the playoffs, they're going to have to fix that defensive issue because otherwise they won't last very long in said playoffs. They are 3 points back of, I've got them 3 points back of themselves, which I'm not saying that you can't, but I'm saying the only team I could see somehow being 3 points back of themselves might be Vancouver. They're 3 points back of Pittsburgh for that last playoff spot in the East. So they're close, but that's the thing. They've been close for a while now. They need to get above that line. Minnesota, 28, 20, and 4 overall, 2.94 goals scored per game. They're allowing 2.88 goals per game. It will be Gustafsson in net tonight. That's been confirmed. They are the number 2 wild card. They're in a precarious position. They're tied with Colorado for third. They are below Colorado. They are above Calgary, I mentioned. They've played one less game than as the Calgary Flames. And so, yeah, we'll see how things go with that one tonight and whether or not anything changes with the playoff spots in the West. 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific start between the Detroit Red Wings and the Vancouver Canucks. This means I will stop getting emails asking me, are you sure you don't want to go to the game against Detroit? I don't. So February 11th, Detroit wins at home 5-2. Detroit's 23, 20, and 8 overall. They're scoring 3 goals per game exactly. They're allowing 3.23 goals per game. They are 7 points back of the Pittsburgh Penguins for that final playoff spot. Vancouver 21, 28, and 4. 3.34 goals scored per game. They're allowing 3.98. That's pretty accurate. The defense, the goaltending, it's not been great lately. 14 points back of a playoff spot, and couldn't be happier as a Canuck fan right now that they've fallen below Montreal, and San Jose's getting precariously close to passing them as well. So I guess go Detroit. And again, it's about seeing the development from certain players on the Canucks, seeing certain Canucks playing well, but still not getting any points at the end of the night for the team. That's really, where Canuck fans are at right now. We want to see certain players doing really well, but a regulation loss works for us. Then at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, the Buffalo Sabres in against the LA Kings. The first meeting was in Buffalo, and it was a 6-0 win for the Sabres. So the Sabres will be looking to go no mercy on the Kings again tonight. The Kings coming off of a no mercy game themselves against the Pittsburgh Penguins. We'll see how it works. Buffalo, 26-21-4 is their record. They're scoring 3.67 goals per game. Ridiculous amount of offense. They're allowing 3.45 goals per game, so that's something they need to fix. They're 5 points back of Pittsburgh for that final playoff spot. The good news for Buffalo is they are better on the road than they are at home. LA, 29-18-7 is their overall record. They're scoring 3.24 goals per game. They're allowing 3.37 goals per game. They are the number one wild card, but it is a very crowded Pacific Division. They are tied in points with Seattle and Edmonton. They do not have the tiebreakers on them currently. They're 5 points clear of Minnesota, who occupy that number 2 wild card spot. So there you go. Let me know your winners in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.